Welcome to that spiritual, actual, factual answers to questions you're asking. You find them inside you, recite you, reciting the records of cash. We laughing, we drafting the passion to vary. It's time for that comedy, dramedy, all of the fanciest, catchiest acronyms. Listeners, listen, we traveling. Conscious is always unraveling. The reading you're having is mapping you back to your natural habitat. Abracadabra, it's magicless, fascinating. To top it off, the host, all the classiest. Now, what were you asking for? All of the answers? What? All the answers.
I did it. I'm doing it. It's happening.
Yay.
So, I've been on this cross-country trip again.
Yeah.
And I had an incredible experience yesterday in Baltimore, Maryland that I feel like we should talk about on the podcast.
Great.
Here, this podcast.
Are we talking about it? Is this it? Are we doing a thing?
This is us talking about it now.
Good.
This is me being me talking about this with you now.
Well, what's actually happening is right now what you're doing is talking about it. Are you exhausted yet?
No. You're just getting warmed up. I know how you roll.
I'm going to meta all over this shit. What else you got?
You're going to shit all over this meta. I was just with your dear close friend, Rami.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I saw the pictures. You guys look like you're having fun.
Oh my God, we had a great time. I don't want to speak for Rami, but I think we had a great time. We had drinks up at the bar at the top of the Mandarin Oriental, which is called the Aviary.
Ooh.
And it was, very fancy. And like we could see the whole city. It was gorgeous. And when we came out of there, we ran smack dab into which 90s rapper?
Ice-T?
No.
Ice Cube?
No.
Is there an ice involved?
No.
Wait. Ludacris? No. Coolio? No. I can't wait to hear though. Who?
LL Cool J.
What? Did you chop it up with LL?
No, what happened is we went to the bathroom. We were like done with the evening. We'd had our drinks. We were like, okay, we're wrapping it up. We go to the bathroom. We finish the shebang bangs. We're like, okay, step out of the bathroom. And like big, hot black man is walking by and he's buff as fuck, this guy. Buff. And I noticed him because I'm like, damn, hot black buff man. Damn. And then I look at his face and he's all like friendly and boppy and lighthearted and like bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. And I'm like, look at that sweet man. And then I'm like, that's LL Cool J. And then we pass him and he and I make a little eye contact and I'm like, oh, hey, with my eyes only.
Mm-hmm.
We get around the corner and I go, that was amazing. And Rami goes, that was someone, right? I go, that was LL Cool J. They go, that was LL Cool J. So no, we did not interact with LL Cool J. Right. It was very fun. It was very New York.
Yeah, I've had like that happen in New York where I was like walking with somebody in their neighborhood and we're just walking along, whoop-de-whoop, and this lady's walking her dog and like comes up to us. And then like my friend Sean, I think his name was Sean, he passed very suddenly a number of years ago. It was very sad. Anyway, but God, anyway, he was someone I knew from grad school. And we're just walking along. And this lady with the, what am I trying to say? Dog. And he just goes, hey, all right, good to see you. And she looks up and she's like, hey, what's up? They didn't know each other, but it was Parker Posey.
Oh, that's fun.
But it was just one of those moments where it was just like, he totally knew exactly who she was, knew that she lived in the neighborhood, totally like just treated her like a neighbor, but was able to make the connection because I'd have gone like, I was Parker Posey and not known what to do with that information.
Yeah. Here's another story like that. I totally hear that. And by the way, can we make a note of, it's interesting that this friend came up who died suddenly because you just had another friend who died suddenly.
Yeah, we're having a memorial service for him this weekend. So
wow.
We'll be gathering. This person, I mean, not that it makes it any less, but this person who I'm talking about in the story this is like 10 years ago. I mean, the story is from like 10, 12 years ago. And then
I figured. And
then he passed probably about 6, 7 years ago.
I'm just saying, it's funny that's coming up when that just happened. Not to mention that you're having the
memorial is all coming up. Yeah. I'm just thinking about people who have transitioned.
Yeah. And sometimes like when they're on the other side, they swirl around at same times. Like
when the veil is thin or whatever.
Yes. Yeah. And in your your vortex of your life, it could be, who knows?
Yeah.
So one time I was in New York many moons ago, and switching back, not about dead people. Walking down the street, and
Famous people, not dead people.
Not dead people. I was in the street in New York doing a solo show. I went into a coffee shop, and I had a coffee, came out of the coffee shop. I was with my friend Christina Septian, and I was pulling cash out of an ATM, and Mike Myers walked up to the ATM just by himself at an ATM. And I was like, what? And then I was like, I have to. So I say, I'm sure you have better things to do tonight, but in case you're around, here's this postcard to this, come see my show. And he was so friendly and nice. And he was like, oh my God, thank you. Oh my God, if I can, I will. And I was like, you're the best. Have a great. And then we turned around, walked away from him, walked half a block. A huge black Suburban pulled up on the side of the road. Whoopi Goldberg steps out of the fucking black Suburban, who was my like uber ultimate like idol, worshipped her. She was my, what's the word? Like mentor that I'd never met.
Yeah, inspiration.
Yeah, like my main muse for the show I had created that I was doing that night. And she steps out of this fucking Suburban. Now, here's the trippier part. Christina and I are walking down the street toward her. Christina's to my right and I'm to her left. We're walking side by side. And Whoopi comes down the other way, steps out of the Suburban, which was very tall. She had to do like a big ass step off out of this thing. And she comes walking down. I lock eyes with her and she goes, you keep it up. And I go, thanks. And I'm like, thanks. And she walks by and Christina goes, what the hell was that about? You keep it up? And I was like, I don't know. It was great.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
I think you've shared that before, but I didn't know if it was on the podcast or just with me privately. But yeah, I love that story.
I think probably privately, but I'm not sure.
Yeah. Love that story.
Yeah, it's a fun one. So I'm going to talk about a crazy thing that happened yesterday because I think it will entertain you and our listeners. And it's a really good example of something important about how things work when the veils are thin, when, the more we start to do all this energy work and all this light work, we gain access, you could say, to being able to see through the veils of reality. We begin to have an effect on the quantum entanglements that create what we experience as like matter and energy and time and space itself. Excuse my burping. And just like down some Chinese food real quick before we did this. So ever since I did the Christ Light retreat in Massachusetts a few months ago, meaning I led a Christ Light retreat, which meant I brought Christ Light through my body for 5 or 6 people for 4 days in a row, a lot of hours a day. Everything really has changed for me in that chunk of time in the sense of this story of like the topic of this exact thing, whereby signs, you're looking sometimes in life for a sign from reality. And you could say like, show me a sign, universe, of whatever patterns, synchronicities. The more we really tap into the matrix of the all that is, those signs and those synchronicities start to be uncannily consistent and regular. They show up all the time. So an example of that is yesterday. Okay, the background story of this story is that maybe 3 months ago, since I've been asking a lot of questions about my location on the planet and where it wants to be. Does it still want to be where it is, or is it going somewhere else? Because I've been getting this guidance that I'm meant to look at the East Coast. And I know I've talked to you about this personally, but I'm saying this on the podcast for the first time. And so I've been looking at one particular spot in New York State that I've been shown is where I'm supposed to look. Okay, so I've been sitting with that for a few months. All right. Whenever I get information like that, it's so intense. Like it's such a big thing for like guidance in the sky to say to me with words, you need to move your entire life to this other place. That's like a big deal, right?
Yeah.
So I ask every day. I'm always in the records asking, so still, is it still, are we doing that? Really? Still? And I'm always checking and learning more about it and trying to get more information. So for 3 or 4 months now, I've been getting the same thing. Yeah, you're going. Yeah, it has to happen. Yeah, you're going. All this, right? One day of all those 3-month days when I'm checking in and checking in and checking in, I get this awareness of Baltimore, Maryland. Like a very strong sense of like, the energy of Baltimore. I see the words in my eyes. They're like, look at Baltimore. And I'm like, look at Baltimore, like to live? And they're like, no, just look at Baltimore. That's it. And that was like a half hour of time. And the information came through kind of intensely. And it just sort of never happened again. That was my Baltimore day. And I thought, oh, well, I don't know what the hell that was. I got other shit to worry about. I'm going to move along. Because I asked a ton of questions about it. I got no awareness, no insight, nothing. You don't always get info just because you want it, because timing is a real thing. Okay, so cut to a few months later, I took that first trip out to the East Coast that I took recently, where I took a flight from Denver. It was supposed to take me to New York, but then the turbulence was so nightmarish. I think I probably talked about that. Did I talk about that on here?
Yeah. You totally did.
Anyway, I took this plane. I have real turbulence fear. Anyway, this was an hour and a half of straight turbulence, nightmarish flight for me. And the plane lands in Baltimore, Maryland. And I was supposed to get on the next. Are you good?
Yeah. I was just checking something. We're good. Thank you for checking.
You were like,
yep.
I wish I could show that to the audience. He had like a far off gaze that looked like a UFO had landed in his bedroom.
Oh, it has.
Oh.
Well, but I didn't want to interrupt you.
Do you need to tend to that?
No, we're good.
Okay.
All right.
So I'm on the plane this last trip from Denver to New York, but it stops in Baltimore, Maryland, because that was the layover. But I'm so traumatized from the flight that I get off the plane and my luggage goes forward to New York, and I stay in Baltimore, Maryland, and I have a sobbing festival. Sob, because that was so terrifying, the trip.
Right.
I think to myself, well, that's funny that I landed in Baltimore, Maryland after I had that random half-hour intense channeling that had me looking at Baltimore and feeling the energy of Baltimore and tapping into Baltimore. And I'm like, I don't know what to do with that, but here I am in Baltimore. Oh, well, I get on an Amtrak and I go away. I go to New York. Okay, whatever. Cut to 2 days ago. I'm back in New York on a totally different trip months later.
You drove.
I drove. Yeah, definitely drove. Did not take a plane. I drove 3 days to get to New York from Colorado. I finished my business in New York that I had to finish. And now it was time to drive south to North Carolina on the beach, which is where I am right now. But when I left New York, the way my work days were laid out, I only had time to drive in 5-hour chunks because I had to teach and work with clients, right? So I left at 6 a.m. on Thursday, drove 5 hours, got to a hotel. But on my drive from New York to North Carolina, I texted my friend, who's a friend of mine who likes to plan trips, which is a very fun, random hobby she has. And I was like, girl, I'm at this location on this freeway. I have 4 hours. I have to be done at 1 because I got to teach at 2. Can you help me find a city and a hotel? Because she loves to do this with me and I don't love to do it. She goes, yeah, no problem. I got it. I'm on it. She writes me back really quickly like, okay, in 4 hours, you'll reach Baltimore, Maryland. You should go to Baltimore and spend the night there. It's supposed to be a cool city. Check it out. I go, sure. Okay, great. And then it sort of like lodges itself in my mind. And I go, okay, there's that Baltimore again. All right, whatever. I give her my card. She books me a hotel. We sort of choose one together. I make my way to this hotel. Timing is perfect. I get there. I teach my class. Now, as I'm checking into the hotel, the guy checking me in who works there has an infinity symbol tattooed on his wrist. And I'm like, okay, that's not nothing for me because that's my symbol and it's the shape of my channel in the back of my neck. And usually in my life, when I see it, it's like I'm on the right track, like I'm where I'm supposed to be, right? I see the infinity symbol and I go, oh, okay, shit's about to get real. Because it also usually means I'm about to see a bunch of signs, which is kind of really crazy and fun. I see that, I check in, I go upstairs, I teach the class. The class ends, I have my client. I get on the phone with my client and I wasn't really in the mood to do a client session. I rarely am. That's not true. But I often have resistance. I'm like, I don't want to sit here and get spiritual right now. But every single time I give a session, I'm always so happy during it and after. It's just that resistance to like surrendering the ego or feeling my feelings or whatever it is, right? I get it to the records or onto the phone with my client and she goes, oh, what are you up to? And I tell her I'm in Baltimore, Maryland. And she goes, are you serious? And I go, yeah. She goes, you remember that I live in Baltimore, right? And this is a client I've been working with for years. And I go, oh my God, I totally forgot that. Now, we booked that session weeks before. I didn't know I was going to Baltimore till today, that very day.
Right.
So the one client I have booked after my teaching is this woman who lives like 10 minutes away. We get into the session. We're both like tripping on that, right? We get into the session and now it gets really trippy. Immediately when I open her records, this whole like line of energy opens that I'm familiar with. That feels, I know this particular vibration. It's the frequency of the star beings. I have a class called Star Beings Monday nights. We start July 5th. Join us if you're interested. Sorry, Monday day, 10 to 12 California time. You're invited. It's a little bit of an advanced class because it's for people who can receive the frequency of the star beings, which is a particular frequency and blah, blah, blah. So I know this frequency well, and it starts to come through, and I'm telling her about it as it's happening. She's super feeling it. And first of all, we had one of those miraculous sessions where everything that comes out of my mouth, she's like, that's literally why I came here today. Like I'm answering her questions before she's asked them. I'm going, okay, well, this about this and this about that. And she's like, that's literally why I called you. And then I'm like, okay, now they want to do a money healing. And she's like, that's literally what I wanted to work on today. And it's like all magic, and that's cool. Then we get to this point in the session where they show me that basically the city of Baltimore sits on, you could say, or is a very big portal. And my client, let's call her
Candace.
Thank you. Candace. My client Candace has a long-standing relationship with this area. And I say to her, okay, this is weird, but there's this portal here and they want us together, like we together can they want us to heal the portal and activate the portal. And they're showing me in my third eye, I can see that like the way this portal is anchored into the ground is kind of like crooked and gnarled, like a tree root, but like in a way that you can tell is blocking the flow of the portal. And they're like, this is what this session is. We're going to fix this portal, heal the portal, bring light and activation to the portal. And that is part of both of your dharma. In fact, this woman, Candace, she had been, the last couple sessions we had, is she keeps being like, why am I still in Baltimore? I don't want to be here. I'm ready to move along. But like every time we would ask in her sessions, we would get, nope, can't leave. Until her most recent session, which was like, yeah, it's time to go, but not until August. So here we are doing the session and this portal is happening and the healing of the portal and all the light. And they're going, you two together, we need you two together to do this. And Candace gets blessings and benefits and magic in her life from doing this work. Sometimes when you, in the same way that like I brought Christ light through for 4 days and all of a sudden I'm getting all these signs and indications and I can read the records much more easily for people now. It's sometimes like, I don't even need to say the prayer. I just kind of zoom, tap in. All of that is from bringing all this Christ light through. Okay. So we have this incredible session. We repair this portal. What? I now understand why the plane landed there. And I understand why I saw it a bunch of months ago in that meditation, because they were like, we need you to be aware that you're going to be doing some work there. This isn't a spot. We need you working. Huh. Okay. We finish the thing. We're both amazed. We hang up the phone. Now it's the end of my workday. I decide to go to the rooftop bar. There's this beautiful rooftop bar. It looks like in the pictures of the hotel. I go up there and I'm like, I'll have dinner. I'll have a drink. I'll hang out. First of all, it's a stunning 360-degree windows view of the whole city of Baltimore. And I realized looking out these windows, this hotel is literally in the pinpoint center of the city, as central as you possibly could be to what is actually like the city part of Baltimore. And I'm like, I'm sitting at the center of this fucking city. And this is where this fucking portal is. Of course I came to this hotel. And it's beautiful and the view is amazing. And I'm so happy I'm there. And I strike up a conversation with the bartender who says to me, so what do you do? And I go, well, I'm an energy healer. It's like, I never know what I'm going to get when I say that to people, you know? And he goes, oh, cool. You mean like the Akashic Records?
Rando bartender in a Baltimore hotel bar knows exactly what you do.
And I go, how do you even know those words? What are you saying? He goes, well, I'm a musician, but I like to make music that's like attuned to the frequency of consciousness. So like last night, for example, I made a song that was like all based on math, from sacred geometry, and he knows all this shit. He's like, yeah, I have friends who read the records, and he's like, I'm into all that. And I'm like, what? So I'm like thrilled and amazed, and I go, what are you doing in Baltimore? You're all tapped into shit. Like, why Baltimore, if you don't mind me asking? And he goes, well, most people think I'm weird when I say this, but I kind of feel like Baltimore is a portal. And then he starts talking about things, and I go, I'm really sorry. I have to interrupt you. I just repaired your portal. I just repaired it. Then we got into this whole conversation about like my theory about there's sort of a depressed vibe in Baltimore, Maryland. Like a lot of the stores are closed and the vibe is really like low. Which you would think if there's a portal there, why would that be the case? But then I'm like, that's a broken ass portal. It was broken. And, or the other thing I know about portals of light, right, is that sometimes they shoot so much light through that what light does when it shoots through people is it puts you up against your stuff. But if you don't know you're being put up against your stuff, you'll just resist it and like shoot some heroin.
Right.
Or just get depressed and suicidal or whatever. If you don't know that you're meant to like work through it, that it's not about, just being a heroin addict and surrendering to your misery. It's about, oh, this is up so I can work through it. But a lot of people on the earth don't know that. Anyway, that was miraculous and incredible. Like, when do you meet a bartender that knows what the Akashic records are and says to you, like, I think I live on a portal, and you're able to say back, yeah, I know that portal.
And like, he was literally using the same language that you were using too, not just like some similar thing, but like you were saying portal and then he said portal.
This guy was so on the level. And then we had just a great conversation because I was like, just asking him all about his life and how he got there and what his plan is and where he's going next. And we just had a fun time, and it was a cool connection. It was just like more ping, ping, ping synchronicity stuff. And
that is
then
awesome.
I realized if I am on the East Coast, I can come visit the old portal.
The old Baltimore hotel, hang out with your musician friend. Maybe he's going to make music for some of your stuff,
We totally exchanged cards, and like, I've already listened to his stuff and loved it. And he's, looking at my website, and he's going to listen to us. He was very excited about the podcast. And as for like all the people I met on this trip, everyone, I met some people in New York who have now listened to a few episodes and are like legit big fans of ours, which I later heard through the people I know them through, that they were like, what? We love this. This is our jam. Spiritual shit with Sassy.
Yeah, I keep having that experience where I'll kind of sheepishly describe it some way, like you said, like, well, I'm an energy healer in that same way, not apologizing, but still like, what response am I going to get? Yeah. And I'll basically say, well, it's a, couple of real sassy pants comedians, one of whom is an energy healer. And we talk about super high vibe stuff while making dick jokes. And they're like, you just described my dream. Like, so many people, they're like, no, that's me. You just described me. And I'm like, I did not know that about you. I would not have assumed that about some people,
I have that experience a lot too. That's so heartening for me to know there are so many people on this vibe.
Yeah. Shaye is here if we want to let her in.
Sweet.
Want to let's just run right in. Let me just let her in. Here she comes. I love how many people we get to have on this that we actually both know. Shaye Troha.
Shaye Troha.
Cassidy Rubin.
Cassidy Rubin. What just happened?
Yeah. I mean, you never know, right? What? It is so good to see you.
Hey, Face. What is happening? Are you guys in a related room to each other right now?
No.
Oh, it does look related, doesn't it?
Seriously? You guys are not in the same space or in the same building or even on the same property?
No, so Shaye Troha is in her Airbnb in upstate New York in a town called Delhi, where I was 2 days ago, but I have now driven away from her to North Carolina.
Yeah.
So I just want to describe for the listeners that I feel like I am looking at like just two cameras that are sitting next, two desk computers that are right next to each other on a long table. Like it is the weirdest. Both bedrooms look like they're in the same hotel. Like, yeah.
Not really. This is like,
this is very different.
I know, but there's just something about the geometry of what you guys are doing. Maybe it's the geometry question.
Maybe.
I mean, this is my cabin. I'll show you. And I'm about to launch this baby for an Airbnb situation. And, I want it to feel like a little bit like a hotel. So I guess that's a major compliment.
Yeah. Well, it looks like an inn.
I'm in a beach house.
You're okay. Well, there you go.
Yeah.
So we're both nailing it.
I had said to Shaye that maybe we would tape video today, but just FYI, we're not, Shaye. It didn't work out.
All right, good.
Oh, no, I'm recording video.
Oh, you are?
Yeah.
Oh, good.
Yeah, I'm recording it all, just like we always do.
We may use it, and I'll check in with you, but I just want you to know we don't know. We don't know.
But I will say, also for the listener, Shaye is looking good. Like you look like you put yourself together for this. You like got a nice top on, some cool earrings. Or is this just how you show up to life in general?
No, I have to say it was quite a pleasure to put on some makeup for the first time in a million years and put on my new muumuu. Very exciting.
Can we see it? Can you stand?
Yeah.
Do you have pants on?
You living that muumuu life?
No, I'm living that muumuu life. It's either check it out.
Sweet.
Hey.
Oh no, I love that.
Oh my God.
Yeah. It's either sweatpants and a tank top with some hiking boots, or it's muumuu and basically naked.
Oh, I feel you. I just got back from a 3-day. I didn't even tell you this, Katie. I was just at a clothing optional resort camping for 3 days.
What?
With Denise.
Uh-huh.
What was that like?
Denise is the podcast name of my girlfriend.
Oh.
We just haven't identified her. I don't know why. We just haven't. So, I mean, I have all sorts of like spiritual revelations as a result of that time, but
I'd love to hear about it.
But the idea of maybe not all sorts, but a few, but the idea of like wearing just a loose thing, like a shift that's just like in the rest of it, but it still looks good. Like I borrowed a sarong from somebody and they were also like, oh, you can keep that sarong. I was wearing it on my naked butt all day, but like just a piece of fabric that I could just be like, I feel like being a little covered up, but I look good, like with it just sort of loosely tied around my waist. And then like, it's over my shoulders now because I don't want to get sunburned there. But like, it's just so like the energy.
Did you feel free?
Oh, so free.
Okay. Now for the
let your bits out.
Little bit of context. We all three know each other from the Bay Area acting scene-ish. And just to give folks a little intro to who Shaye Troha is, so this makes any sense at all. Shaye and I know each other through that scene. Cassidy and I know each other through sort of that scene in Sacramento, but same. And then did you guys what's your story?
Shaye was in a show with Rami, weren't you? No, you were not. Sorry, that was Mel. You were,
We just met through friends, through
just
the theater.
In the scene together. Yeah.
We're in the scene together.
Comedy and sketch comedy and.
Yeah, Killing My Lobster that I was in for 7 years. It's a sketch comedy troupe in San Francisco. Might have been at a show there. It might have been, through so many friends. The fabric
you're
is
good
so
friends
tight.
with Andrew Bancroft and like that whole scene and
Sarah
so we
Mitchell.
were just people.
That makes sense. And then
he's here.
That's probably actually the biggest connection.
That's probably it. I think he's actually the connector of how Katie and I met too.
We should have on the podcast, actually. He's an amazing human being.
How was he the connector between you and I?
We met, he brought me to that acting workout that Danielle had.
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't realize he had brought you. That makes total sense.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now Shaye and I meet through this acting thing where we're both like developing new work, but then years later, we both wind up living in LA. I went to LA after Shaye does, and I hit her up and I go, hey, Bay Area friend, let's be friends here. And then I feel like our sort of spiritual connection sort of started to develop there, where I realized that you were into the things and we were both into some of the same things and all of that, which leads me to my first question that I do have for you on this topic, which is like, I wonder can you tell us a little bit about, part of what I love to talk about with people on the podcast is like,
wait a second. Something weird is going on.
You're still with us.
Wow. I don't know what happened there, but I'm here. Continue, Katie. What is the question?
So we heard you the whole time. FYI, just so you know.
Good.
What happened on your end?
This video that I thought I'd close was up and it started playing its magical music and it took over and I didn't hear you anymore.
Okay. Nice.
Continue.
Does that song have any lyrics?
Nope. It's literally some strings. It's all. Yes.
And what is the title of that song?
I don't know. It's from this astrology for the soul thing I watch on YouTube weekly by this really interesting guy called Kaipachu. He's such an interesting human.
Katie, what if that had been the guy that was your bartender? That would have broken all of our brains.
Oh my God. That would have been incredible.
So the reason I'm asking is because oftentimes with this sort of matches what we were talking about before, oftentimes with these technology things that happen, there's the energy is really high. And when we do high vibrational work, that energy does not match the frequency of technology machines. And so it messes with them and they do weird shit. But sometimes when they do weird shit, it's because we're being visited by somebody who's trying to share something, or we're being visited by the divine and it's going, look at these lyrics, listen to this title, notice this thing. So it is kind of cool that it's an astrology song thing that's on when I'm just about to ask you this question about your spiritual path. But anyway, that's why I was asking those questions, because if it had been like meaningful lyrics, that would have been fun.
Okay. Float down a river. Yeah,
well,
no lyrics.
I have shit that happens like this all the time. And like we were just talking about synchronicities and magic and stuff. And if I start talking about that, I'm just going to be listing them all night and everyone will sleep. But back to my question, which is that in your life, what got you on a spiritual path? How did it start? What did it look like in the beginning? And what does even the word spiritual mean to you?
Drugs. No, just kidding. Well, no, I mean, honestly, that got me into a deeper, wanting to go deeper into what the spiritual life means for me. All joking aside, I was raised Protestant. Okay. I was in the Christian church. I was confirmed, all that jazz, never connected with it. Never, not a once. I read the stories. They were in one ear and out the other. I was just kind of cool hanging out with everyone. I loved the community and that was it. And then my parents got divorced and our church life disappeared on both sides. Both mom and dad just kind of didn't happen anymore. And
was that because the church, why was that?
That's a really good question. I honestly don't know. I think I kind of asked my dad about it once and he gave me not a clear answer. I honestly think that we were doing it for the family and it was less about their spiritual practice, that they wanted us to have a sense of community and belonging. I think that's why it was. But, regardless, I didn't have that in my life anymore. I didn't fully connect with it anyway, but I just had a knowing. I just had a knowing there was something bigger. I didn't know what it was. Actually, for a very, very long time, I did not connect with the word God. It just didn't resonate with me because I put it on, it felt like religion.
Yeah.
It felt like a religious choice instead of a personal choice.
Yeah.
So for a long time, I struggled with that term and just not knowing where my spirituality lied. But in my 20s, I explored a lot. I did explore with a lot of different kinds of drugs, not in a destructive way, but in an exploring way.
Yeah, I was going to ask you actually, because I think the drug question, I mean, when you said drugs, but I'm all kidding aside, I'm sort of like, no, but which drugs? Because they really are eye-opening and sometimes they're the perfect entryway for people. You just don't want it to be the doorway forever, but.
Right.
So like, what were they?
So
if you're open to talking about that, of course.
I'm totally open about it. I don't know who's going to be watching, mom and dad. Okay, let's dive on in. So the first thing that I really that I felt a baby expansion was I did a little bit of mushrooms. And this was actually, I think I was a senior in high school or something, maybe even just graduated high school, but I did a small amount. And I just had this kind of glow about me, and everything that I saw, everything that I touched, it was like I was tapping into the planet for the first time. It's kind of like I took a plug and just kind of dipped into the socket of the planet. And so ever since then, that's really what mushrooms have felt like to me in that way. So and then obviously I've taken mushrooms, but not in a destructive way, in a very careful way, mostly out in nature and just really connecting with nature in a deeper way. And within that, feeling honestly like I'm talking to God. So there's that. I've kind of dabbled in a lot of things, but the things that really have connected me a lot was that I've had some pretty deep spiritual moments on Molly, or a pure form of ecstasy, out in nature as well. I actually heard the divine talk to me. This was about 5 years ago, and told me my purpose in this planet, in this life, and it's right on the money. That I'm here to help people open and expand their hearts so they can fully realize who they are and also enjoy the joy of this life, to bring more joy into their hearts, but like basically to help people crack that little baby open and expand in joy. It's not about being a professional. It's not about making a ton of money. Was literally that. And forever, being an actor, it was always the next job. And when I got that little piece of advice, I was like, okay, yeah, my existence is why I'm here.
Oh, I love this so much.
Yeah.
And I experience you that way. And you are one of the more heart-opening, joy-building people I know in my life, just by we're sitting there having a drink on your bed.
Yeah.
I'm like so happy to exist. So like, I mean, I've even heard you ask me sometimes, like, what's my purpose and what's it? I'm always like, you're already doing it. You're so
right.
And it's funny, that purpose question, it really can mess with people a lot, because we have been and we're going to go back to you talking, but I just want to say this, that because people listening, it's like, it's such a common thing to get hung up on in the head of like, because we think because we're Americans and we're programmed by capitalism, we think that our purpose always necessarily has to do with the job we're doing, the work, job, money thing, or whatever status, role, position we're in the world. And like, what I know from human design at this point, which is another reason I love it, some people have to do specific work. And some people really, 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 really don't. And if only everybody would look at their damn human design chart and get clarity on, you don't have to anymore ever stress yourself out about, am I living my purpose? Because as long as you're doing XYZ, you are. And what a relief that could be for like the majority of humanity if people could understand that about themselves. So anyway, I love that. And do I remember correctly that you've also had some profound experiences with ayahuasca?
Yes, I have. I've been working with ayahuasca, which is a plant medicine from Peru. I've been working with that since I think 2008. Now, this is one of those that each time I work with this medicine, it is done ceremonially. It is done in a very conscious way with a guide. And so there, it's like a once a year kind of practice for me to tap in. It's kind of like taking that idea and that visualization that I gave of doing mushrooms and exploding it in a completely deeper and wider realm. So plugging into the planet, but going kind of further. So with that, it's really important to have a guide. And with that, I've had, tea time with Mama Earth. It's quite an incredible experience in so many ways. I could talk about that forever. Yeah.
I want to hear about that forever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, I actually have some questions, but so I'm going to ask I'm going to stay on this track for a minute. Then I kind of want to come back to that one if we can.
Yeah.
But so these experiences that expand your heart and connect you to the earth through the mushrooms or the ayahuasca or whatever it might be, what does that then lead you to knowing, being, practicing in your life? Like, how does that translate to your waking life in a practical, like what does spirituality look like after those experiences in your waking day to day?
So, what those experiences have given me, depending on the experience, what I mostly get out of it after is a sense of healing. I heal some old trauma. I also heal and I'm able to get out of my ego's way and listen to my heart and my higher spirit and have the hard conversations of, hey, you do this thing to yourself. Why do you do that? And really diving into that without ego. So I'm not like judging myself. I'm not hurting myself. That gets out of the way and I can just listen with a vulnerable, open heart. So when I come out of that, I'm able to say, okay, maybe we can just use less of that ego thing. Let's get out of the way of the ego and remind yourself the healing that took place in those moments, in those sessions, in those ceremonies, and just work with that, lead with heart, you know?
Wow. It sounds to me like it almost like the plants set a template in your psyche and your body for how to operate egoless in life. Does that seem right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. That's amazing. I'm always envious of people who get to find that doorway in, because for me, that doorway took me out and it didn't help. It helped like at the very beginning and then it just was a problem. But so many people I know that I think are just more earth signy than me, or maybe had less trauma, or who the fuck knows, aren't addicts. I don't know, like can go that way. And it's really as profound and moving and touching. And it's their thing. It's their way in, or it's at least one of their things. Right.
Right.
I always like, now that I have like so much more healing under my belt, I always wonder, and I ask my guides all the time, like, is now the time to do some ayahuasca? Fuck no, is what I hear from the angels. The angels are like, fuck no, bitch. You're already on Jupiter, bitch. You want to go? Where are you going?
You are big time on Jupiter and Saturn and Pluto all at once. And yeah, you don't need that. That's the thing, Katie, is you don't need that. But like for me, I'm not tapping into the upper realms like you are. I that's my plant medicine. I go kind of through the earth and out the other earth side. You know?
Yeah.
That's kind of how I'm like go down and through it. That's how I get there. Yes. But I feel like it's still either way. I feel like every single human is different. Like however you tap into your own spirituality, that is right for you. You know, whether it's using plant medicine, whether it's, you know, pure light healing, whether it's going to a church and praying to the Jesus that you love, whatever it is, like you do you, what feels good for you, you know?
But let's be real. Your way is a little more fun.
I mean, it's really fun.
Your way is pretty fun.
It's kind of fun. I'm not going to lie about it. It's kind of fun. And this is also true. It's not always fun.
Yeah.
It's not always fun. It can also be tremendously challenging. I've gone through some pretty intense times. And that's why not everyone is built for that kind of medicine, that experience. You know, it's something that's to be taken very seriously and with a lot of preparation. For example, part of doing that kind of work is cleaning the body out. So you have a dieta that you have to do for weeks ahead of sitting, because you want your body to be as clean as possible. And really, that's how we should be living in life anyway. You know, the cleaner we are, the clearer the connection with divine is.
Yep. Can you tell us a story of like, I'm sure you have, this is impossible to answer, but what comes up for you as the first response to the question, what's the most intense and kind of game-changing, profound experience you've had in any of those expanded states? Like, is there one particular ayahuasca that you remember journey where you're like, and then I knew that my dad was actually, you know,
was another man. No, just kidding. My dad's my dad. My dad's my dad. Wow, that's a really, really good question.
It maybe it's more than one. I don't.
Yeah, I think that it's more than one. Like I said, there's this one moment where I was in an ayahuasca ceremony, and I will go back to talking about this because I brought it up before. It wasn't a challenging moment. It was a really, really beautiful moment that was so full of love. I felt like I was being held, and I literally felt like I was talking, just having a cup of tea with Mama Earth and just having the conversations of, hey, I just want to sit where it's comfortable for you, where you feel safe, and to talk about the things that you do to hurt yourself psychologically, also physically, like there are definitely times where I could eat better, I could drink less, there are definitely moments like that. But I think that it's having that kind of a moment where I felt so safe. And then, the most awe-inspiring presence is talking to me like my best friend and saying, let's just talk about it. This doesn't have to be some unapproachable thing. Like, I am God, you are part of God. Everything's okay. You're just hurting yourself in different ways. So it's easy to let it go.
Wow, that's amazing. What were was this at a time, would you be open to sharing like one example of some way you were hurting yourself that you got clarity on in that conversation?
Yes. So I can be, as all people can be, incredibly hard on myself. I'm extremely hard on myself. I'm extremely hard on myself in the not doing of my life. So like there are definite things that, there was like a chunk of time that I was going through, I'd say maybe 3 years, that I was not doing great. I was in a pretty deep depression, a lot different reasons, but I wasn't able to take a lot of action in the way that I had, like say in my 20s or early 30s in career. I wasn't able to take action in it. I wasn't able to put myself out there. My confidence level had dropped a lot because of the depression. And so I spent a lot of time being unbelievably hard on myself. You're not good enough, of course, duh. But it was also where is your drive? You're better than this. You should be taking action. What are you doing with your life? All the big stuff. It's like all that stuff we all kind of go through. But I was like extremely hard on myself with the action and the drive part of it. And then you get to a certain point where you're not like for us, we're actors. And when you're not acting for a number of years, that voice intensifies even more. Yeah. That voice becomes, well, you're not an actor anymore. If you're not acting, then you're clearly not an actor. Right. Sure. So there's that conversation. So it was a lot. So that tea time with Mother Earth was all about that. Why are you being so hard on yourself? Like, what is this thing about no drive? It's okay. You're in the exact place where you need to be. You are in the perfect place that you need to be. And there's more in your life. So be kind to yourself. It's time to be really, really kind to yourself. And that I think I finally got from doing that medicine ceremony. I finally got that the most important thing was to be gentle to myself and to know that, you know what, this thing that I thought I was for a really long time, it's okay if I do it, and it's okay if I don't.
Yeah, man.
And I can come back to it and let it go. Yes. And it doesn't, that specific thing doesn't say to me, Shaye, you're worth it. You're worthy or not worthy.
Yes. You're not a worthless piece of shit if you're not doing a
man. Yeah. I'm not a piece of shit.
You know what's a trip is so many people have to either succeed wildly before they even start looking at this. Like some of the most famous people you've met, I've done healing sessions with or been in rooms with them where they're sharing their truth in a very vulnerable way. And they are literally the A-listers of A-listers. And they are day one looking at what value do I have if I'm not doing this? And it's like, when I saw that like you can achieve all of it and still have that tight-hearted, I'm nothing without the next fill in the blank. And, this is an addiction most human beings suffer from. I'm nothing if people aren't paying attention to me. I'm nothing if I don't have a boyfriend. I'm nothing if I don't have this number in the bank account. There's always a something that's going to theoretically prove your value or your worthiness to have value. And always it's a lie.
Fear.
Yes, totally. And also like the idea, this sort of way that we attach our sense of self to some external achievee, whatever it is, whether it's acting or not. And then the journey of finding out like your self-value and your self-worth just in and of itself. But then I find there's another interesting twist in that journey that like there is a certain amount of self-esteem or yes, it's the only phrase I can, self-esteem that comes from showing up for that which the soul is demanding us to show up for. Which is different though. And I think it's a very important distinction. It's different from the egoic need to prove we have value. If we're clinging to a thing to prove something to ourselves about ourselves, that's like, we need to bring spirit into that and soften that up. But if we're pursuing a thing because there's fulfillment in the pursuit of it, even when it's hard, that's different, and I think like we all have to find our place of like, well, what pursuits actually are bringing fulfillment in the pursuit of them. Like I see you doing by the way, everybody needs to get on fucking Airbnb right the fuck now.
It's not ready yet. It's not
next week.
Next week.
In 2 weeks from now.
Yes.
Y'all need to get on Airbnb and rent this bitch's Airbnb because I just stayed there and it is the shit. Where are people? What's it going to be? How do they search it? Is it like Shaye's cabin? What is it?
So
my point.
Yes. So we got this property in February and it is a meowgical wonderland. It is so beautiful. It's in the northern Catskills in upstate New York. And we live on a road called Peakesbrooke. So when listen, I don't know if it's going to be called Peakesbrooke Cabin. Let's just say that. Peakesbrooke Cabin. It'll be under Peakesbrooke Cabin. And that's Peakes Brook.
And what's the town again?
It's in Delhi, New York. It's spelled Delhi. It's actually named after Delhi, India. So I love that. I love that I'm living in Delhi. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Peakesbrooke Cabin, you must stay there. It's actually quite literally a magical wonderland of magical wonderment. There's a fucking pond and like acres of the greenest grass, rolling hills, tree, woods, groves. You can't stand it. The creek and the town and the adorable and the shops. You can't even. It's so good. Please go in it. What the hell was I talking about that got me to that?
Something about purpose and like following your.
Oh, yes. Thank you. Cassidy, Jamal, Jackson, Malcolm, Jamal, Warner Brown. Getting it back on track like you do.
It's my job.
Yes.
Go here.
And I see you, Shaye, the way you are lit up and activated by this process. And I know a lot of it is challenging and you have to hurry and get to a place and get to a store and get the right rug and whatever. But there's I don't know.
And go to my job in Brooklyn and all the things.
Yes. And this bitch is like living part-time in Brooklyn, driving 3.5 hours north to like make the Airbnb pretty for you people. Peakesbrooke Cabin already. You need a vacation. You're working too much. This place is going to change your fucking life.
Is it going to be clothing optional is the question.
If you want that, I'm all about it. Just don't show your peeper to the neighbor. But other than that, I'm all in. Do you? And you guys, I just got robes in today and I have slippers. Come on.
Robes and slippers.
And hot pink canoe to go out on the pond.
It's too much. It's actually too much. It's too wonderful and joyful. You probably shouldn't do it because it's too wonderful and you're going to explode with wonder and joy. So just don't do it.
World can't handle that much.
Yeah, don't come hang out with me. Just don't come hang out with me.
Never do it. Don't do it. When I see you engaged with that, the light that you already organically are all the time is like activated so high. So I just love looking at those things in my own life where I go like, as I'm doing this, I'm experiencing joy as I'm doing it. Not because I got it or after, like, you know what I mean? With acting so much for me, there's so many moments of like I did it. Like that celebration of getting the job was always the moment. And then the rest of it was a bit of a shit show. It's like you gotta show up and you learn all these stupid fucking lines somebody else wrote down. Who's this guy? I don't care. I gotta say his words. I gotta be there at the same time every night. I don't feel like doing a play tonight. Oh, I have to. Oh, they don't pay me enough. Still gotta do it. You know. My point being, I'm sort of overstating it to make a point, but there's like, it's like when we really get present to like, how much fun are we actually having in the doing of the thing? And sometimes the answer is like, you can shift your consciousness and have more fun in the doing of a thing. But other times it's like, maybe step away from the doing of that thing for a minute. Cause if there's no joy in it.
Well, you know what it was too? It's the whole idea that I'm or we or whatever is essentially trying to convince the other that we're worthy. Like I'm trying to convince you that I'm good enough for you to book me in this job, right?
Yeah.
So that whole rigmarole just really I finally realized like, oh yeah, that actually doesn't make me feel good about myself. Interesting. Maybe I should put a pause on that for a while.
Yeah.
That's cool. And then I got offered to do a cabaret show out of nowhere at my friend's bar. And, you know, my other friend's a crazy, insane piano player. And all of a sudden I was like, you know, that's an open door and I haven't done something for a while. I'm going to dive right in. And it was amazing because I was getting to perform and share my joy through performance on my own terms. And that, my friends, we got to do everything on our own terms, I think. At least now that's what I feel.
Girl, you're talking to a lady who wrote 5 solo shows and toured them around and made money doing them because I was so not willing to work on other people's terms.
Word.
I feel you deeply. And then I've had a new thing lately where I'm like, something has happened where I'm going like, yeah, I'll show up to some auditions. Sure. Because I care. Not. In other words, it's like it's not that I don't care. I care about the material. I'd like to do the work. I'd like to have the job for sure. But I don't need them to like me. I don't care if they like me. My approval, my sense of worth doesn't come from whether this random panel of 6 motherfuckers on the others. You know what else helps? Because when you've been on the other side a lot, for me, it's just like, oh, I'm just some judgy bitch sitting here watching. Why do they give a fuck what I think? Because the 6 motherfuckers sitting next to me, those are just cranky assholes too. Everybody's just trying to do a job.
Yeah.
You know, and so none of it matters. And their approval certainly doesn't fucking matter.
Well, the approval
is like, am I, you know, they can approve of your work for the job. That's different. But the sense of getting your value and your self-worth from their approval, that's the piece that's
right. Because it literally isn't. Like your value is not measured by their approval. Your castability, possibly your income, some other things that are connected to that. But even that isn't even about your value. At its best, it's just your alignment with the moment of the process of this particular piece.
Right.
Like we've all done casting. So you sit there and it's not like that. Yeah, some people suck and that's fine. That you can be like, okay, you're actually bad. So, But most of the time it's just like, oh, there's the person we need. Those 10 other amazing people were not the people we need. Has no bearing on who they are.
Totally.
But we know, even knowing that, we still attach that like sense of like value to whether that random click of what you need when you need it now in this moment is there or not.
Right. And that's such a personal journey. And for me, the work was getting out of my own way in order to enjoy the moment and know that it's not about them. But that was, you know, the ego has a way of really fucking us over. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, I can say this shit. Doesn't mean I feel it. I mean, I'll be honest. I suddenly have all these auditions because things are actually ramping up again. And I've auditioned for a bunch of things, gotten some callbacks, but I'm still really checking my heart and going, yeah, I'm whatever. Like, God, that's such a peaceful feeling. Because instead of like, God, I hope I get that Berkeley rep show or that. I would love to get it, but I don't need to get it.
You don't need to get it. Yeah, that's the difference.
That's big.
I give no fucks. I do give fucks. It's different. It's like, it's not that I don't care, but I also don't care.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
Because I think the subtlety, the distinction is, like we just said, your sense of your own value and your sense of self-worth is not attached to whether it happens or not. You desire it. You'd like to do that, but that's not who you is. It's something you might get to have that's a fun place to be, where it's like, what if I could have this cool experience and do this show? Rather than like must have. Okay. So anyway, we're a little off track and I want to bring us back. And yes, I see the time, Cassidy. Thank you.
Oh, we're fine. We're good. You just said it. So I looked at the clock. We have about
I'm just teasing.
Full 45 minutes left. We're doing great.
I'm totally teasing because Cassidy is always the guy who's like, just checking in. There's exactly 28 minutes in case we want to get in the records. I want you to know. And I'm letting him know that you're on it. Of it.
I love a time management pro.
You gotta have it. You gotta have it.
You gotta have it with the podcast, man.
Back to your spiritual journey. I'm sort of wondering.
Yeah.
It sounds to me like once a year, there's a profound earth connected, plant medicine based, ritualistic, healthily held experience that expands the consciousness and connects you and opens you and all of that. What does it look like in your daily life? And I think what you said, and I just want to make sure I get it, was like those experiences are so effective for you at opening the heart and tapping you into what matters, like the heart and getting the ego out of the way and having that template set in your being, that you just sort of do your best to stay in that state. Would that be a fair way to frame your spiritual practice in the waking days of life when you're not on an ayahuasca journey?
When I'm having my best days, absolutely. I mean, I, like anyone, gets whisked away by life, and I'll bring it back to ego again and whatnot. But the idea and the purpose is to have a meditation practice every day where I at least just sit down and go inside 15 to 20 minutes, at least give myself that. Now, do I always do it? Do I always show up? No, I'm going to admit I don't always get to show up like that, but I strive for it. I absolutely strive for it. And the other thing is another thing that over the years always connects me to spirit is dancing. Anytime I dance, every time I dance, I feel free, like Cassidy at that whatever place the sarong on, letting your willy go. Anytime I'm dancing, whether it's at, anywhere, I feel so free. I feel completely connected to myself, and it is a meditation for me like nothing else. So if I can't sit down, just have a quiet meditation for 15 minutes, if I can dance, that's another form of connecting with spirit. That's really important to me. And also, I've been into some woo-woo shit for a long time.
Like what?
Okay. Okay. We did the drug thing. Okay, cool. Yes. Huge, massive part of my spiritual life. But I love digging into astrology. I don't know it all perfectly, but I love digging into it. I love finding people that really resonate with me, that's really authentic. And I'm definitely an earth mama, and I really connect to the moon and the moon cycles and just being in awe of nature in all the seasons. I can't grow anything, but I really love experiencing it. So there's that. But let's go deeper. Psychic mediums. I don't want to say psychic. I will say mediums. I've really dug into channeling in a really big way. I'm obsessed with the channel Gaia. Anybody? I'm obsessed with Gaia, and they have all these different shows on all kinds of really woo-woo stuff that I love.
Wait, you mean the television channel Gaia?
Yes, the television channel Gaia.
Yeah.
We were both like, which Seth? Which channel?
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
The television channel Gaia, I go into seeing a lot of those shows, and some of it resonates, some of it doesn't, but I just love it. I love watching channel all kinds of interdimensional beings, and oh God, I get into it hardcore. I can go deep. That's what I binge on. I don't watch comedies, but like I'll binge watch different weirdos channeling.
Are you watching?
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
You do know what I mean. You do exactly know what I mean.
Are you watching the Matthias DiStefano thing on Gaia?
I am obsessed with the Matthias DiStefano. Oh my God. Initiation. Okay. So my boyfriend and I, Jason, we came across this thing. Initiation. Have you guys talked about it on the podcast before?
No, but Alfred and I watch it and he got me into it and it's the shit. You got to watch it. It is
the shit. Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, I'm obsessed with Matthias DiStefano. I follow him religiously on Instagram. He is a wonder of a human being and he's so authentic in his truth. There's no way you can't believe what this guy's saying. And I'm in love with him.
Okay, real quick for the listeners who don't know who this guy is.
Yes, please.
This is a guy who, when he was 11 or 12, he could see his guides. His spirit guides were always visible to him when he was a kid. Mm-hmm. Additionally, he had an awakening where he remembered all of his past lives, all of them. Detail, and inside of his past lives he carried the awareness of the entire history of the spiritual evolution of humanity and all the nations of star beings that have come. He knows everything about Atlantis and everything about the Lemurians and everything about the Mu, and he knows shit about all the dimensions and the auric field. He knows everything about everything, and he knows it because he just remembered all of it.
Yeah.
And then he's gone through this life where his whole life, speaking of what we were talking about at the top of the episode, Cass, about like you bring enough light through and then all of a sudden the veils are really thin and you're getting signs and indications all the time and the world becomes like a big acid trip. This guy's life, when he talks about like, have you, Shaye, heard his story about the work he did at the Vatican?
Oh, yes.
He got 500 people to show up at the Vatican at this certain day at a certain time because he had to switch the polarities of the earth because God told him a thing. And they all came. 500 people came because God said you should. Anyway, he's that guy.
He's that guy. He is a special human being. And he is lovely with a capital L-O-V. Like he is the most lovely human being. You just want to squeeze him.
I wonder who that guy's like dating or married to.
Well, I did a little digging. He is, I don't think he's married, but he does have a partner. He has a male partner, and that's all I know. He's from Argentina. Argentina? Yes, he's Argentinian. And so he has a channel in Spanish, but now he's bringing in more English speaking. But check it out, y'all. It will blow you. You'll just be blown away. The first season is just him digging into the dimensions and explaining what each episode is on each dimension. And it is wild. I've rewatched his episodes over and over again because there's a ton I miss. Honestly, the information is so deep.
Dense. So much density. Like we'll watch half an episode, pause it and talk for 3 hours. And then we have to start again.
Yes, Cassidy, I cannot wait. You have to watch it and report back.
We'll get a link in the show notes, hopefully.
Also, I have to tell you guys, when we found we were like flipping through, we're like, which one should we watch now? And I was like, oh, there's an Akashic Records one. We watched him talk and he literally described, Shaye, what I see every time I go in the records. I see there's this way that the things happen and the images and that he's like, okay, first it's this and then it's that. And I'm like, he's in my head. And it was so validating for me to be like, oh, this is a thing that is. I sort of assumed it was a thing that is for me in my way of seeing, but I wasn't going to assume it was like isness.
Let's get real too. I need you to answer me a question. Riddle me this. When you heard that, were you like, yeah, dude, I know shit? Or like, I'm not crazy. This shit is real. Like, you know how we have these moments where like, is that really happening? Am I really seeing 222s and 333s and 444s every single day, every single time I look at the clock?
Well, Shaye, I teach spiritual energy work all day, every day. So at this point, I hope
No, I know, but you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's why I'm telling you about this. Is because
I'm messing with you.
The guy described literally what I do, things that if I try to say it to you now or to any humans, it sounds like, sure, okay, that's interesting. This guy sees the exact shit. Yes, is the point.
He's a miracle. You're a miracle. Thank you. Okay.
No, anyone who kind of, I don't know, his journey, I can only imagine. I'm also very curious how he got connected with Gaia. I mean, it makes total sense. He's perfect for Gaia. But like, how did that all happen?
I know. I wonder that too. He's now doing a lot of work at the pyramids. That's kind of what has been going down lately. He does a lot of work in the pyramids and the chambers there. So I don't know what's going to happen, but he's got a long life to live, and I'm fascinated. I'll be following him my entire life.
Oh my God, I love it so much. You know where I'm taking a group of people in November?
Tell us.
The pyramids.
Can I come?
So my friends Karen and Fred Lovelian from the Mancos, Colorado area, they are also light workers, and the three of us are going to lead I think it's 15-day retreat at the pyramids. They've actually been a bunch of times, and they're good friends with me, and we became friends in Colorado, and I'm going to lead a bunch of the healings on that retreat. We're going to do it together. Yeah, I haven't even announced it yet, but that's too funny that you mentioned that he's into the pyramids now, because we were all like, we meditate a bunch at their house and we open the records together, and we all keep being like, God damn, Egypt, what's with Egypt? We got to go to Egypt. And they've been before. So part of them was going like, we've already done Egypt. And then all of us, we could not get away from it. It's like, it needs us there right now. And so we're taking people who are already kind of conscious of this stuff and activated to a certain degree, so that, it's not just, you have to pay, and it's a tour and you're getting all these things from it, but you got to be a little bit tapped in, just so that like the trip, we're a collective, and we're going to do shit for the planet. Karen's whole aim with this whole trip is to Karen, I give her so much credit. She's an amazing human being, an amazing healer. Her aims are always things like, yeah, we're having a weekend workshop to obliterate fear on the earth. It's always like these broad, huge agendas that she's going to attain. And this one is like all the separation. She wants to clear all the separation. So we're just going to do a ton of work. You were going to say?
Just thrilled.
Isn't that cool?
Yes.
Yeah. How you doing, Cass?
Good. Just listening.
Okay. He's leaning back.
It literally is just, I've been sitting in a chair for too many hours today. So if I'm twitching around, it's because my tailbone is just tired of being a butt.
Do you need to shake your tailbone?
I've been moving it around. I'm good. I think I'm all right.
What were you up to today?
Today, I led an action hour for Surge, doing a little pushback against the tide of white supremacy hour. And then I led an event with the Feet First people, doing a little online game. And then and everything was back to back. It was like, finish that, jump to that, get on there, do that. And then as soon as that closed, I had to jump on this. So I've just been sitting at my station here for too many hours.
Well, you look good. Thanks. Look good.
That's what matters. Get Katie behind me. Get Cassidy on the other side.
Oh.
Yeah. For the viewer or for the listener, Cassidy has the All the Answers podcast. One of our images right behind him as his, what's it called? Filter, screensaver?
Background.
Yeah.
Background. You're both looking super badass in those photos.
Yeah.
Thanks.
You want all the answers? Listen to me.
I got that shit on lock.
Exactly. Well,
my
gosh.
Talked,
Shaye, about possibly today going into the records of your new land, because you were interested. Tell me why that interests you. Like, what are you looking to? What would you like to experience or achieve with that?
Well, I'm really interested to know, just, when you have a property, and it's such a large property. I mean, it's 15 acres, but this whole area is really expansive, and it feels, the energy here feels really specific, and like there's a story about it that is trying to tell me. And I don't know what that is yet. Also, one of the things that I would like to do, this is like lifetime stuff. It's not just the Airbnb cabin. Over time, I'd like it to be a place where many people come and say, do workshops here, or weekend retreats for the wellness community, the healing community. And so I would love the land to be blessed so that it is ready to hold all the people that come here.
Wow, how cool. Maybe what we can do is ask that any energies that are in the land and or the surrounding areas that would inhibit any of that, that be cleared and anchored and released and so on. And then all the energies that will attract what you're looking for be brought in.
Yes, please.
That would be cool.
That'd be amazing.
We were thinking too of possibly opening, you and I had talked about opening your records and the land's records. And I think that's a great idea because you're so it's about you and your relationship to the land. All right, let's dive into the records just so we have enough time to get some work done. All right, let's go ahead and close our eyes. I'm just going to dive us in just because I am aware of the time. Okay. What shall we call this? Peakesbrooke land? The Shaye's property at Peakesbrooke Road, maybe?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, I got it. What's the address? 1540?
45.
Peakesbrooke Road. Okay.
Yeah.
So we'll take a few deep breaths into the low belly. And we'll bring a conscious attention to the exhale, a nice, strong, solid exhale of air from the low belly up through the midline and out of the mouth. And as we inhale, we expand the low belly. And as we exhale, we really allow ourselves to connect with the source of the all that is through the power of our breath. Through the midline of the body. And already that your angels, Shaye, are saying, yes, beloved, every time you see 222, 333, it is real. And have me tell you what each of the numbers mean. I'll give you a copy of a book I really like, of a couple pages from a book that describe what the numbers are, because they mean, they're specific messages and they matter and they're real, and they really want you to know what they mean, because it's not just real, it's telling you specific cool stuff. So just a couple more breaths. Consciously deep into the low belly. Really blow it out through the mouth if you can. Yeah, and let's just consciously, with you, it's different. So let's just consciously have the intention to ground. Visualize your foot chakras spinning open at the bottom center of each foot. 500 energetic roots extending from the bottom of each foot, hundreds of miles into the earth. Simultaneously, your grounding cord anchors itself from the spine, the base of the spine, 1.5 feet wide, all the way to the center of the earth. A river of light flows up from the earth into that grounding cord, into your root, forward into each hip, down through the legs and down, flooding. That river of light floods down through all parts of the legs and into the roots coming out of your feet. So we have a tripod grounding structure of light. Additionally, for you, it's like your energy field is so expansive and open. Become aware of your own consciousness, expanded about 15 feet around you in every direction. And then just imagine or become aware of your energy field expanding all the way out to the edges of your property, behind you and in front of you and up and down, deep into the earth, left and right, forward and back. Yeah, and see that river of light flowing up through your grounding cord from the earth into the root, cleansing the root chakra, forward into each hip, each quad, each glute, each hamstring, down through the knees, calves, shins, ankles, and feet, flooding those roots that came from your feet. And allowing the heart to soften as this all occurs. I mean, Yeah. Yeah. And Shaye, what's your full legal name on your driver's license?
Shaye Marie Troha.
Okay. So we do acknowledge the forces of light, asking for guidance, direction, and courage to know the truth as it is revealed for our highest good and for the highest good of everyone connected to us. Keeping your energy expanded and your heart relaxed and your throat relaxed and your tongue relaxed and the brain stem at the back of the neck loosening. Holy Spirit of God, protect me from all forms of self-centeredness and direct my attention to the work at hand, please. Help me to know Shaye Marie Troha and the light and her land at 1545 Peakesbrooke Road?
Mm-hmm.
Road in Delhi, New York, in the light of the Akashic Records. Oh, wow. Help me to see Shaye Marie Troha and the land at 1545 Peakesbrooke Road in Delhi through the eyes of the Lords of the Records, and enable me to share the wisdom and compassion that the masters, teachers, and loved ones of Shaye Marie Troha and the land at 1545 Peakesbrooke Road in Delhi, New York have for the land and for Shaye. And I'll just go quiet for a moment here. So, okay, and so as we continue to deepen into the Akashic Records of Shaye Marie Troha herself and the land, all of the 15 acres she has purchased and she and her family have purchased at 1545 Peakesbrooke Road in Delhi, we're asking to clear anything and everything from my field, hers, or the land's that would block us from receiving the highest vibrational frequencies of light we can receive today in the form of wisdom, guidance, direction, and or energetic clearing, alignment, and or activation. Anything in the way of any of that, we ask for it to be taken now. Divine Mother, Father, all that is, Lords, Masters, and Teachers of the Records of the land, Peakesbrooke, Allah, and or of Shaye herself. So, the first thing is I'm like instantly transported back to the land. It's so very, very visceral for me right now. The feeling of that lush green grass and the foresty, the rainforesty moisture of the air and just the whole vibration. And they're dropping me into it. And so I'm just letting that happen. And then I'm gonna see if it has anything for us initially, or if we want to start in with questions.
Mm-hmm. You know, they say The Hobbit is real. These films, you know, these people are tapped into different levels of consciousness and they call it imagination. And we often have to teach and remind the human race that the imaginal realm is a realm through which you can see things. It's not just a realm where you're imagining stuff in yourself because you're so brilliant. You are brilliant, but the imaginal realm is like a layer of consciousness that allows you to see. It's like looking through a window into another world, and different human beings have access to different worlds. And so what we have here is Fern Gully. I've never seen that movie, but I have.
Fern Gully, and we have The Hobbit, and we have all of the other Hobbit movies. I don't know what they're called. That whole trilogy or whatever it is, right? We have Maleficent. There's so many films that are referential of lands like this, magical. Snow White. We are mentioning these for you to understand that quite literally you're living in that space is a riddled with earthbound spirits, like the gnomes and the elves and those guys, the fairies, and that whole dimensional layer. Jason actually has the capacity to connect with them. He gets inspired by them, and then he's off doing adventures in the woods like he does, but in part it's because he's like skipping along with his people. If he is to
that makes me realize. Oh my God.
For each of you, you have you want to be talking consciously with this land. Know that the land has such a live, active consciousness. So when you say to it, hey buddy, and you can just chat real casual from your heart like you would to any friend, we could use the frequencies of XYZ to bring more people who are going to contribute to you and nourish you and nurture you and be of your vibration. But can you put the beacon out for us? Pun intended. Can you put the light out so the people see it, so they come? And the land is so activated, Shaye. It's so alive. It's just 100% tingling with life. Think of it this way. If I can from my heart find a way through the spirit or however individuals do it, I could talk to the chair I'm sitting on right now, and it has consciousness, and say to the cells of the chair, could you help me, I don't know, be comfortable in this conversation, even though I think I need a chair with the back right now. It will contribute energetically. Now that's a chair. That's a single chair made of wood that is not on a tree that is alive on the earth anymore. Now imagine if that can do that, which it can and it does. And by the way, everybody listening, they're saying, please practice this. Talk to your chairs, talk to your desk, talk to your dog, talk to everything. It's listening, it's alive, it will respond. Talk to your car and it'll get sick.
I do that all the time, actually.
And ask it to repair itself, ask it to show you what it needs, it will. Okay, you'll know, you'll have intuitions, you'll be like, I should change my oil, when you wouldn't know otherwise, or whatever. Okay, those are objects, those are man-made inert machines. Imagine every blade of grass on your land is an activated little vibrating being of light, just waiting for you to ask it for stuff, just like the angels. And speaking of angels, boy, are there a lot of freaking angels there. They hang around, they're protecting, they're hovering. A lot of those areas, like that whole area, is very bright and light. And with the presence of the two of you in particular on this land, certain things that were like activated, but kind of, I want to say, inert, they came to life with you guys being there, because they know you can hear them. They know you'll talk to them. And so they're like, oh, friends in the other realm who can hear us. Fun, 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 fun. Now we can all play. Okay.
I feel that.
Hallelujah. That's that first piece. Amen. Okay. Now I'd like to ask the record keepers of the land, is there anything you need from Shaye? No. Is there anything you'd like to share with us? Not really. We would like to ask to clear anything and everything below the land, around the land, near the land, above the land, related to the land, past, present, or future, that would stand in the way of people desiring organically, drawn like magnets, like moths to the flame, to come to the land for retreat, for healing, for activation, for rest and respite in the cabin, for all the things that Shaye and Jason are dreaming up, that the land be able to contribute to the people, anything in the way of that being easy manifestation. We ask for it to be taken now, dissolved, cleared. Firstly, this is some of the human past energy of what's occurred in the cabin. We're just dumping that out. The human, all the things that went on and the emotions that happened and just some of the like wah wah of whatever went on in there. Normal human stuff. And they're showing me that they're draining those heavier energies even out of the very walls of the cabin, which I believe are wood. And so they're through the wood, it's like draining down into the earth, and immediately the magic of this earth, it just drains through the grounding cord we established here, and it just poof, dissolves into nothing. It's very cool to watch it drain out of the walls of the cabin. And the walls are becoming lighter now. And are there any stories that we need to know? Not with the cabin, no. This is just normal humanity occurring and density accumulating, and that's okay. And so we clear it. Is that complete? Yes. All right. Any other areas of the property that require clearing? So that people, yes, are drawn instantly and actively to come to the land for healing and activation and rest and repair, for retreats, to rent the Airbnb, etc. Okay, something to understand, Shaye, that's good to know. The energy, because of the shape of the land, flows down the hill. And when there's ickiness, it gathers down at the bottom of the driveway.
Okay.
When you turn into the driveway and it kind of dips down.
Yeah. Everything
gathers right there. So
near the bridge?
Past the bridge, by the cabin.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, right by the road there. And also, you're right, also by the pond and by the that whole down part, the down area, by the down, right by the road, by the cabin, by the pond. Because energy flows down, hill, heavy. In this case, okay, so also that's interesting. This has to do with, you're having a little bit of you're like, what's going on with their pond? It was so shiny and lovely, and now it feels a little more heavy and laden and algae full. This is related to that. That's about. Okay. So, I'm just trying to see. The land being so activated and being an activated space for transformation and healing. Is transformation the right word? Yes. Okay. So they're showing me where I live in Colorado, I live in this valley, and it's between these two, it's a canyon kind of between two mountain ridges. And it's also downhill from the town. And so the towns, all the humans that live in the town, their stuff flows down toward the canyon. And the canyon is known to certain tribal healer people as being literally the womb of the world. So the womb of the world is a very big transmuter of energy and healer. So what'll happen is all the people energy swarms down into that canyon. Well, my house is there. So I'll have days where I'm going, what is this freaking energy? And it's, again, the records, and I find out, oh, the town is just I'll put it this way, the canyon, the womb, is pulling the darkness from the town, or the heavy emotions, or the whatever people are dealing with, into itself to transmute it. But sometimes even wombs of the world need facilitation. It's a lot to do. So energy pools and gathers in places. And so that's what's happening at the down part of your land. The pond, and the word pond isn't right. It's lake.
Yeah.
It's like a lake. The lake. They want you to call it a lake.
Okay, good.
Yeah. It's not a pond. It's like more substantial than that. So at the area of the lake and the cabin and the driveway right from the road, that little region, that's going to get stagnant more than any other area, because the energy's flowing downhill, and because the lake is facilitating healing. It's pulling it down there purposefully to help it. Okay. But sometimes you're going to need to do some upkeep down there energetically. And how do you do that? You just tap in through your heart, vibe into the frequency of the land, and ask for God, the divine, to take anything that's been accumulated down there that the land itself is helping facilitate healing for, that the heaviness be taken. Okay. So that's like a thing you could do quarterly, 4 times.
Okay.
Yeah. And they say feel free to do it on mushrooms.
Thank you.
Yeah, you'll have more clarity, and you'll see things, you'll be super open and super tapped in and all that.
Yeah.
Now, all right, so can we do anything to help with the algae? No. Does she need a certain chemical? Yes. Is it more than one chemical? No. Does she already have it? It looks like you might already have it. Did you find something to help with the...
I did. I found this thing that doesn't harm the fishes, and we have fish in the lake. And we went out in the canoe and we put that in, but because the lake is so large, we needed like 10 of those. And they're quite expensive. So I was like, okay, well, now I know that this is the thing, and I just need a large amount. We did have a new friend that has a pond. He got carp, and carp, the actual fish, can go and eat some of the algae. Do you mind asking if that is a possible solution as well?
Sure. Yeah, I don't think the carp are going to do it.
Got it. Okay.
Because the carp are also going to create waste, and there's not going to be enough carp. It'll be cool to have carp in there if you want, but yeah, you need that stuff.
Got it. Okay.
And I think you need it more on the end of the lake, closer to the bridge.
By the driveway.
Correct.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yes. Now, is there anything spiritual that needs to be done to any part, any clearing remaining? And that needs to be done so that the space can we clear all that gathered energy down there already? Yes, let's clear all that. So everything that's gathered downhill, lords, masters, and teachers, divine mother, father, all that is, the source of all creation, all the angels and the archangels that are facilitating here, all of Shaye's team of light, and the land's team of light. We ask you to clear all the gathered heaviness down at the bottom part of the land, that the land has generously been gathering and clearing itself. It's so generous and sweet what the land is doing, because the land knows, it knows that it moves more slowly than, direct light, space light. Space light can sometimes, light like we're doing now can go like pow, and the earth light goes like and it takes longer. So it's just like, I'm just aware of this really generous, kind generosity of the land to offer itself as it looks like a comb combing toxins out of the air. Okay, so lords, masters, and teachers, all the Akashic light beings, the beings of light, we're asking for facilitation down at that, area to clear everything there that might be stagnant and or that would keep people from just being drawn like moths to the flame to the area, to the Airbnb, to the land itself for retreats. Yeah. And then just some of the last owners, the man and the woman. Is there a woman also?
There was a couple before that owned the land.
Okay, so the man and the woman. Right, okay. So some of their stuff, we're just going to move that along now. Oh, okay. That's in the house. And interestingly, up along the road, all along the road that leads to your house, the driveway, just, history. Like, showing me just all the winters that were hard and they're trudging up that hill and the hard and this is hard and that's hard. And it's been a rough road and we made it, but it's kind of hard. Like that's
yeah, that road in the winter will definitely make you feel that way.
Okay.
Kenny, can I ask any indigenous teachings or knowings?
Yeah, let me just finish this little piece, this clearing of all that hardness from those guys. We're asking for all of it to release out of the walls and the fabric of the house itself. Okay, we did that. Is there more of that? Okay, that's happening. Oh, my goodness. This land is really grateful that you guys are here. It's really, they're like, these guys get it. Vibrant, young. They're excited about it. The land dwelling energies. Okay.
We love you.
Wow. And what did you want to ask about the indigenousness?
Is there any I guess for the indigenous peoples that were on this land, just to say ask for the blessings and if there's any way to honor them being on this land that we are now on. Just an honoring.
Okay. Ooh. I don't get a lot of that history here.
All right.
On your land. There's not any indigenous pain here. There's no buried bodies, which, believe me, there are regularly with land issues. There's no, you know what I mean? Like the history and the pilgrims, and there's none of that.
From what I read, Delhi in general was kind of this in-between zone of where different tribes were. And I've been doing research on it, but yeah, it does seem like a crossover. They don't have a lot of specificity on it.
In-between zone, what do you mean? Between what?
For example, there's a map that shows, if you zoom into any area in the United States, or you can zoom in and see what different tribes lived where.
Okay.
In Delhi, where I live, it's kind of in between where these tribes were, and it's kind of this area that didn't seem like there was a strong settlement, one that they could name, but
that reads that reads. That's part. There's a lot of energy here. That's part of why there's so much light still in the ground. And it's not to say like, that's not like a dig on Indigenous people. That's just to say that oftentimes with the Indigenous history, not always, but oftentimes there was war or battle, or white people came and fucked shit up. So there's like trauma in the land that needs to be cleared, but not in this case. And so we're just offering in this moment our honoring from Shaye's heart and soul, and honoring of all the Indigenous people that were in all of the surrounding areas, anywhere near her land, anywhere near the neighboring land, anywhere in this area. We're offering a deep bow of respect and a deep debt of gratitude for what we are getting to experience here on this space. And we know that we came after you, and we own the injustices and the flagrant abuses of power of our people historically, dominating over, killing, murdering your people. And we honor that, and we acknowledge that, and we take responsibility for it. Whether we were personally involved or not, we are of that lineage, and we own it right now, right here, in the name of all white people who won't own it. We own it now. And this is for you now, Shaye. Your being is being pulled into what Kaya Ra calls the black womb of no thing. We're in there now for your soul. Oh, man. There's often a kind of completion and a wiping of the slate clean when we enter the black womb of no thing. Amen. And the sincerity of your prayer, beloved, is so deeply heard by the divine. And the black womb of no thing, the realm and the space from which all other things emerge and are born, acknowledges your request, and you're pulled now deeply through this portal into deeper communion with the all that is. Understand, everyone listening, that the sincerity of a prayer and the sincerity of a request have deep and powerful ripples and effects on the universe's response to the prayer. The depth of your sincerity in asking is felt and reverberates across all dimensionality now, and bringing great healing to you personally as a result of your sincerity. You understand, Shaye, a priestess of the light as well. Your way of transmitting this light is, as you said, by being the joy and the love, in particular the love, and then the joy that emanates from the love. What we ask of you now in your life at this point is simply to own this more actively. You've already claimed it in your heart, and now it's time to own it. And as you own it, the image is every step you take, you're blessing the land. Every step you take on the land, every step you take anywhere is a blessing and a transmission of light. Oof, today is a special day for you and your journey. Something new has been opened and activated now for you. This opening will allow for deeper communion with consciousness itself, as expressed through the earth and its elements. Prepare to see even more signs and numbers. Prepare to know more things than you can understand how you know them. Remember that what you know without knowing how you know it is the ultimate truth. I just know. That's all you need. And you do just know. And we have healed today some segment of the womb space for you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Everything that you are. Do you have any other questions?
I don't think I do.
Yeah.
I'm open to anything more that comes through, but I feel pretty complete and blessed.
I mean, the last piece is simply to, as we've said, own your connection, own your status as a priestess of the light, own your ability to communicate with nature and the quantum entanglements of nature, own the truth of your ability, by the way, through the womb. So they want you to feel into your womb space, like the second chakra when you're walking through the land. Connect with the womb and the sensuality of your womb, like Dionysus, you know, like the other one, like show me the Garden of Eden, you know, your sensuality through the womb space allows you to connect and commune with the nature even more than when you're not connected to that. Part of what has happened here today is we broke through the barriers between your womb space and your first chakra and the earth. There's no block now. So if you take any amount of minutes just to consciously intend to open your root, womb, really that's it. Open the root and the womb, connect your essence to the land around you, and boom, you are talking with Mama Earth and you are having that tea just in your waking day, just by sitting on the land. The key is sit on the land, actually with your butt on the land, and ignore the workings of the mind entirely. Trust what you get through the body and the heart. But for you, the body. Your body is a resonating chamber. It's a psychic antenna. Don't blow off your awarenesses that come through the body. In fact, part of your relationship with this land is the land. If you let yourself open chakras 1 and 2, sit on the land and listen with your body, with the antenna of your kinesthetic awareness, expand it to the edges of the property, and the land will do all kinds of stuff for you. You are deeply in communion with it just by allowing that process to occur. And we've cleared whatever stood in the way of that communion. Okay, this is wild, but I'm going to say it. When the two of you like make sweet, sweet love,
yes,
on the land, and it's the good kind, and it's intimate. You know, we all have moments that are better than others in the old bedroom. And they're talking about those ones that are like epic, where the heart is connected and it's really deep. You are actually contributing to the land. You're contributing to the world. Yeah.
Oh, that is some stuff.
Yes. So consciously, if you can, when you're in that process of the lovemaking, like allow, just have a gentle idea. It doesn't have to take over the experience, but have the idea of the channel from the crown of your head through the root as being open. The hearts are connected, right? The tunnel is through the midline is open, and then see that love and that juicy eroticism dripping down into the grounding cord, into the earth, through your first chakra. Boom. And that, talk about watering the leaves.
Wow. That is something. Can't wait to tell Jason. Oh man.
No. Okay, that's that.
We're pretty far over time, just to do a check on that.
Oh, thank you. Okay, so we're gonna wrap it up, but I want to just share with you that I have not felt, how do I say that? It was very profound, the moment of breaking through the second chakra, whatever, and the black womb of no thing. That was a really big initiation, and I'd love to stay in touch about what you start to notice that's different after this. And they say, remember, don't listen to the mind, don't engage with the mind, don't believe the mind. He's not your buddy to chit chat with. Always back to the second and first chakra, always back to the ground, always back to the body. Like always though, always.
Okay.
That's your practice. Wow. I don't want to leave this space, but we got to leave it. I'm like at a person's house on a beach and they're like, dinner is now.
And Cassidy's like, I would also like to eat and not be sitting anymore.
I tried to talk to the chair like you said. I was like, hey, chair, can you be better for me?
What happened?
Little help. Little relief.
Right. I want to thank the masters, teachers, and loved ones for their love and compassion, the lords of the records for their point of view, and the Holy Spirit of light for all knowledge and healing. I ask that you return the energy of 1545 Peakesbrooke Road to itself. And I ask that you return the energy of Shaye Marie Troha to herself now. Return her to her complete human wholeness. Return the land to its complete landy wholeness. The divine portal and the Akashic records of Shaye and the land are now closed. Amen. The divine portal and the Akashic records of Shaye and the land are now closed. Amen. The divine portal and the Akashic records of Shaye and the land are now closed. Amen. 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 I would be super ungrounded if we didn't close that one out. So thank you. Shaye, what a gift you are. What a treat to have you with us. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm feeling some things right now. So thank you so much for having me, both of you. I love you.
I love you too.
So great to see you.
Process all
you
that.
Too.
You know how to process your stuff and give yourself, good nugget at a time there.
We're talking about some Epsom baths tonight, my friends.
Hell yeah.
Oh.
I love you both. Thank you, Cass, for your patience. We love you.
Thank you both. Do your work, y'all.
Do your work. Bye.
Bye.
What are you asking for? All of the answers? Say what? All of the answers? Yeah, all the answers.
Hey guys, thanks for listening. We'd love to hear from you. Please email us with your questions so that we have questions to answer in the Akashic Records. Our email address is allanswerspod@gmail.com. That's allanswerspod@gmail.com. And if you'd like to find us on Facebook or Twitter, it's @allanswerspod, @allanswerspod. Thank you.
That was the thing when Desmond said, don't bother doing that if you aren't going to wear headphones. That's why.
That was a Sounds Awesome production.